The idea of me staying in a Pharaoh's room constantly for the foreseeable future doesn't last long. In fact, a few hours later, I find myself leaving his quarters and wandering the halls of the palace like I have so many times before. Kato and Cassius probably won't be back for a little while, so I don't really have anything to be worried about as far as I know. Just as I'm thinking this, I see something out of the corner of my eye. A gray tail, green stripes. Alexios. Seeing the cat suddenly reminds me of all those suspicions I've been keeping bottled up about him, if only to keep the peace in the palace. Again, with all that thrown out the window, I find myself fast walking in Alex's direction, determined to confront him. While I feel complete shit after what's happened, I also feel completely liberated. Cat's out of the bag. I can basically say whatever I want now. Well, mostly. Definitely should still be careful. I turn the corner as I'm thinking this and find myself standing just a few dozen feet away from the cat, Alex bent over as he waters one of the plants. He's humming again, and he's smiling when he looks up at me. That smile immediately vanishes. He drops his watering can, sending it and the contents spilling across the floor with a clanging noise. He basically lost all chance of looking not suspicious in the first second he saw me. Ah! Marco! How are you this fine morning? Terrible. What are you doing? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Are you feeling ill? What happened to your arm? Alex's eyes go to the bandage on my bicep, but I ignore him, taking a step forward. In response, he takes one back. What have you been up to? Up to? His eyes dart left and right as if looking for an escape. Telling Neferu about me? Telling the Triumvirates about what I told you? I don't know if he actually did the last one, but his reaction seems to tell me. His eyes widen as he backs away. I have no idea. Did you talk to Kato yesterday after you saw me in the gardens last night? You realize what's happening right now, right? Marco, you're scaring me. The cat continues to back away. I follow, and that's when Alex just gives up on his act, turns tail and sprints down the hall. Before I know it, I'm running after him, eyes focused on his thrashing tail as his sandals slap against the marbled floor. Stop chasing me! I don't know what you want! I don't bother responding, starting to reach out to grab the back of his robes. Just as I make contact, though, he comes to a sudden halt, pressing himself against the wall so that I stumble and slide past him. He's at a door, and he presses his paw to the black panel so that it slides open before he dashes inside. I don't think he was really thinking about where he was going to end up, because I know that that's the bathing room, and I know he's trapped. I turn around and run inside after him, just in time to see him, still sprinting, slip dramatically on the wet floor, flying through the air for a moment before landing painfully on the corner of the bath. I hear him wheeze before he plunges into the water. If he lost his breath, it's back as he comes up with a gasp, letting that all out in a scream of pain. Ah! Hot! The cat scrambles out of the water clumsily, scrabbling at the sides with his claws before finally rolling out, looking small and disheveled, with his fur all matted up against his skin. He curls up, and to my surprise, I see that he's crying. This sight alone is enough to give me some doubts that Alex is the conniving saboteur I think him to be. He looks so pathetic right now. I stand over him for a bit, looking down at his pitiful form before clearing my throat. You okay? Okay? I think you're broke my ribs! Me? You're the one that ran away for no reason. No reason? You advanced upon me in a threatening manner. The cat curls up again and makes some more sobbing noises. And I'm between believing him and believing that he's flat out faking. Sit on the bench. I reach down a hand to help him up, but he swats it away. I narrow my eyes. Answer my questions, Alex. The cat finally sits up, sniffling and rubbing at his nose while the other paw clutches at his side. I have no answers. I'm simply a pet. Painfully, Alex gets to his feet before setting himself gingerly on the bench while stripping off his wet robe. Yeah, and I was simply a pet just yesterday. I'm not as stupid as you think, Alexios. Alex looks up at me, that pathetic, sad look replaced by one that I can't really explain. When he remains quiet, I try again. I know everyone has interests here. What are yours? Maybe we have the same ones. You're not being very subtle, are you? What you did yesterday wasn't subtle at all. Who else would have told Kato that I was conscious again? That me and Amicus are lovers? Alex frowns and shrugs. How am I supposed to know? I told Cassius last night. He could have told a number of people, especially Kato. That makes me pause. Of course Alex talks to Cassius on a regular basis. Probably every night. It would make much more sense that the wolf was the one to tell Kato rather than Alexios. But what about the lovers thing? You were the only one that suspected. Well, him and Neferu, but I know Neferu wouldn't tell. Alex scoffs, having taken off his robe and in the process of examining his side. It looks fine to me, no blood or anything, but he winces as he prods at it. You think it wasn't obvious? It was a prominent rumor ever since the first trial. That, and I guess Kato did walk in on us in bed together. I feel my resolve failing a bit. But then I remember Neferu again. But Neferu told me that you confessed my intelligence to him. Why would you do that? This time the cat's reaction is rather different, his ears blushing as he looks away. He was curious about you, and he can be persuasive. I'm sorry I told him, but again, I thought it was obvious, and I didn't think he'd tell you. Alex scowls, massaging his ribs. I glare at the cat, wondering if I just made a huge mistake. But what about the triumvirates? I told you first, and then they all suddenly found out somehow. Alex quirks his head. Well, Cassius was discussing it with someone else, wasn't he? Virginia. Maybe it was that person. Neferu had said that they hadn't interfered at all in the trials, and Virginia didn't show any indication that she might have sabotaged her own brother. But then again, I have the feeling that she's probably a lot better at acting than anyone else here. I know I can't really trust anyone now, except Amicus, and maybe Neferu. I'd been so confident just moments ago, and now I find myself feeling guilty as I watch the sopping wet cat clutch himself, hunched over. I don't trust him to be telling me the truth, not at all. But I also don't trust myself in being so confident that he's lying. So, shamefully, I reach out a hand, resting it on his shoulder. He flinches, then glares up at me. Sorry, I just thought. I'm just trying to figure out what's happening. Alex carefully moves my hand off of his shoulder, but he doesn't seem all that angry. That's fine. Just don't do it in such a brutish manner next time. You frightened me. Yeah, and sorry about your ribs too. Even if you did it to yourself. Alex probably hears the smile creeping into my voice at the end of the sentence because he glares at me again. That really hurt, you know? And now I have to go to the city to see a physician. I'll have to take that awful bumpy carriage too, since Cassius forbids me from flying. Alexio shakes his head. I rub my arm awkwardly. And why's that? Alexios looks up at me. Ever since his father's ship crashed and the investigation was botched, he's petrified of it. Botched? Yes, so they don't know how it crashed. Odd thing, isn't it? Yeah. Just when I was having my doubts, I get another flare of suspicion as to why he's telling me something like this. But I brush it aside for now. So, you know about everything that's happened? Vaguely, though I'd rather not be involved. Anyway, I suppose it's not so inconvenient for me that I go. I was meaning to visit Cassius in the hospital today anyway. The cat stands up, bending down with a grimace to pick up his robes. And I am sorry about what happened to your wolf. I hope you're able to figure it out. And with that, the cat walks out of the bathing room, his tail dragging limply behind him. I want to say more to him, to figure out exactly what he's up to. I might have been wrong about him, but I also don't feel satisfied with his explanations. I can tell now that we're not exactly friends anymore, even before I caused him to shatter his ribs and boil in the hot tub. I sit on the bench for a while, thinking about soaking in the bath. I realized then that the last time I did that was with Amicus, and doing so now, alone, would be way too depressing. I get up and leave, hoping that Virginia took my request seriously. Imagining the wolf below me, alone, is too much to think about. So I head back out into the halls, deciding to just go back to Neferu's room and stay there like I'd been told to. A few days pass like this. There's a bizarre calm in the air. The palace is quiet despite the absolute chaos that the top echelon of the empire is in right now. In the meantime, Cassius becomes emperor with surprisingly little fanfare. I watch it on the screens. The young white wolf's right leg and left arm in casts, which is explained several times to have happened in the third trial, as he's coroneted by Kato, who is now missing his visor. That isn't explained to the viewers at all. I don't feel much as it happens. Realizing how fake all of this is, how it doesn't seem to mean anything despite how much I'm told it means. It's all theatrics. What matters now is taking the two of them down and getting Amicus up and out from that dungeon. Even now, I'm not really thinking about getting home despite the fact that the stretch drive should be returning at any moment now, if it hasn't already. There are bigger things at stake here, the main one being my best friend's life. And that's why, on the third day after the fake trial, I find myself eagerly involving myself in a discussion with Neferu as he tells me his plans. Kato is due back in the palace that day, and we both suspect he'll be making a trip to our room. So, the most important thing to the wolves is drama. A scene. Something memorable. That's all they seem to care about around here. Neferu sniffs dismissively as he sips at his wine, and I find myself starting to see why Amicus might find him so irritating. Not that he's wrong, though, and I usually find myself agreeing with him. So, make a scene that makes Kato and Cassius look bad? Well, most importantly, we need to find, or even make up information about them that will irreparably damage their reputation in the public sphere. Like what Cassius did to Amicus during the second trial. Neferu smirks. Even worse than that, Marco. Preferably something that shows disloyalty, or insults the pride of the wolves in general. That is something they often can't look past. Didn't Amicus having sex with you show disloyalty? Or hurt their pride? Neferu waves his paw dismissively in the air. No, it's been established amongst the public that he was simply furthering his goal of an alliance with my species, which was completely in line with his character. As for pride, well, he wasn't the one raising his tail. I sigh. So we need something about Cassius and Kato that's out of their character? Yes. Something that shows them to be not who they say they are. The public must distrust them. Neferu strokes his chin. Would be convenient to have all that footage that Virginia was talking about. But considering how secure it might be, that could be impossible. Worth trying to get, though. Yes. I'll have to discuss that further with Virginia. So, what should I be doing? While it feels good to talk about what can be done to help Amicus, I personally want to do something. Neferu pauses, then smiles at me. Marco, my duty is to not put you in danger, as I've said. I won't have you. Well, I don't care. I need to help. I'll do whatever I have to do. Neferu raises an eyebrow at me. Oh, yes? Even if it might risk your own life. Kato is only barely tolerating the protective line that being a Chemian citizen affords you. I would not push him further. Then I'll do things behind the scenes. I don't care. I just want to do something. Neferu sighs deeply. We'll see. Just keep in mind that the most important thing to Amicus is that you stay alive. That's what you can do that will help him the most. I take that in, still not fully convinced that there's nothing I can do. But I'll certainly let you know if I believe that there's a way for you to help. As for me, my status leaves me untouchable. Unless Kato wants to risk another war, which I guarantee you he does not. I'd imagine. He has first-hand experience. Indeed. Neferu, Kato wishes to enter your quarters. I jump, wondering if the walls are thin enough that the old wolf to have heard us. Neferu doesn't seem surprised, though. Ah, as we expected. Come, please tell him to hold for a moment. I'm in the nude. Yes, Neferu. Neferu looks at me. I suppose our mission starts now. I have my own drone recording in the corner there, hopefully to catch the old man saying something incriminating. What I'd like you to do is to crouch behind those bushes. Keep hidden and quiet. What? I thought I was supposed to be involved. You will be, but I'd rather he not filter himself because of you. I hesitate for a second, then quickly do as I'm told, even though I do feel bitter at the feeling of being tossed aside once again. Neferu, I will override the security again if you do not. Kato's voice crackles over the speakers, but that's when the jackal opens the door, and for a moment his voice comes from two places at once. I'm pretty well hidden behind a few trees and bushes. My surroundings dark enough that I'm pretty sure Kato wouldn't be able to see me through the leaves and twigs I'm peeking through. The two males stand awkwardly across from each other before Kato suddenly strides in, forcing the jackal to step aside, though Neferu keeps that smug smile on his face. What a pleasure it is for you to visit me today. As Kato walks in, I get a look at his face for the first time. I'd seen that he lacked his visor in the broadcast, but seeing it up close. The stern looks I'd always imagined under his now broken machinery is definitely there. His eyes have a milky gray quality to them, heavily scarred. The old wolf stops just in front of the fountain, his ears perked up high. I wonder if he can see anything at all, and Neferu asks just that. How is your sight, your former highness? I see one of those ears twitch before the wolf slowly turns around. Non-existent, young prince. Oh, please, just call me Where is the alien? Neferu pauses. Alex? Or do you mean... You know damn well who I'm referring to, Jackal. Neferu raises his paws defensively, even though Kato can't see. Apologies, Kato. Marco told me he would be in the gardens doing landscaping work. Kato snorts. I didn't hear him out there. It is a rather large garden. A very beautiful one as well. Kato doesn't respond, instead staring about the room. Would you like some wine? Neferu gestures at the bedside table, picking up his own goblet to take a sip, loudly. I see Kato's ears twitch again before he turns to the jackal. What is your plan with the alien? Neferu frowns. Plan? Do not ever play games with me. That will be my only warning to you, jackal. Kato's voice is so cold and ominous that even Neferu's grin wavers. But he recovers quickly, taking another loud slurp of wine. Such good wine. One of the few superior products your people produce. Now, as for Marco, I'm simply fulfilling a promise to Amicus. I see. That wasn't so hard to tell me then, was it? Speaking of, quite astonishing that he was so easily beaten by Cassius of all people. Quite. I wonder how he was able to accomplish such a feat. It was broadcast. You would have been able to see it. Well, I don't watch Adastra broadcasts. Too much melodrama and propaganda for my tastes. Pugnu is a combination of skill and luck, and it is not always the strongest that wins. Of course. Though I have to wonder, might any of that luck have been, well, manufactured? Kato is silent for a moment. Kato being silent is when you know that something is very wrong. Are you implying something, Jackal? Oh, no. I'm simply curious. I came to study the politics and workings of the Empire while also trying to improve relations between our species. I feel knowing all the facets of woven politics is important. Kato sneers. There's a fine line between studying and spying here. Neferu chuckles. Well, what I do know is that you wolves often go about things in a theatrical fashion, and it's sometimes hard to tell what's real or not. I assumed the fights to be, well, somewhat staged. Huh. Kato chuckles, and immediately I know that Neferu is making a lot of mistakes here. I'm not sure what his plan is. Maybe he thought that Kato would be more friendly with him, or that he could lull the old wolf into a false sense of security somehow. Maybe he's just trying to feel the old man out. I also get the feeling that maybe he shouldn't have had all that wine before doing this. His suave, carefree attitude works on most, either to charm or to annoy, but Kato is not someone I feel it will work particularly well on. Either way, it's clear Kato knows exactly what's happening. I know Kemians pride themselves on their own intelligence, but I have to wonder why, considering your extreme stupidity. Oh? Neferu casually sloshes his wine about in his goblet. Your arrogance amazes me, young one. I know you were fortunate enough to have been birthed after the war, but it's as if you were never taught the history between our peoples. I've spent countless hours studying this history, Kato, and that's mostly why I'm here. Mostly. It seems the rest of that reason is to fuck with the delicate balance our empire is currently in. Certainly not. I am merely an observer. I want to tell Neferu to shut up, to just tell Kato to go look for me out in the gardens or something. I can see the hackles on Kato's shoulders rising, and I can only hope that the jackal was right about being untouchable. I know I offered you to stay in this palace as long as you pleased, and I never withdrew an offer without good reason. But have you thought of moving out to the city? There are many accommodations out there. Oh, no thank you. I much prefer it here. Everyone is so interesting. It is just like a Kemian to take full advantage of a wolf's tolerance. Neferu quirks an eyebrow. Tolerance? Not a word I often associate with a wolf. I can tell that Neferu is losing his cool as well. Our tolerance for your arrogance was unprecedented. Neferu seems confused for a moment. Oh, are you referring to the war? I'm sorry. We're quite a bit more blunt where I'm from, so I didn't realize what you were getting at. Neferu smirks. For a moment, I thought you were coming on to me much like Amicus did. Definitely too much to drink, or this jackal is a lot crazier than I thought he was. You wolves tend to be aggressive like... Kato becomes a blur, closing the 5-foot distance between the two of them in less than a second. The next thing I know, Kato has the jackal up against one of the pillars, slamming Neferu so hard against it that I see the plaster crack and fall away. Neferu gasps loudly, kicking out at Kato a few times as he struggles with the old wolf's thick arms. Get off! Neferu kicks out again, this time at Kato's groin. If the old wolf felt anything, he doesn't show it, instead holding Neferu tightly in place while he snarls in his face. Speaking of tolerance, I have tolerated your arrogance for far too long. Just because you are the pharaoh's son. The second son. And of a ruler who has so little power over his kingdom in the first place. I shouldn't be surprised. Kato pulls Neferu forward, then slams him back against the pillar again, causing more plaster to fall and the jackal's teeth to clack together loud enough that I can hear it. You're all the fucking same. Every single one of you. But somehow, you're the worst I've yet to meet. Again, Kato slams Neferu against the pillar and I start to stand up, wishing I had a Nervo. Neferu growls, trying another kick. Is this the next generation of Kimian we must deal with? I know you weren't alive for the war, but it seems another one is inevitable if you're an example of what's to come. Neferu tries to speak, but lets out a choked cough. Kato loosens his grasp, and Neferu gasps a few times. No. Amicus was a bit less rough. But if you wanted to put your paws on me, you only had to. This time, Kato almost lifts the jackal off his feet, cutting Neferu off with a horrific gag like he's throwing up. I must say, you have a funny way of going about building an alliance. It's as if you thought tail raising would get you whatever you wanted. Now Neferu really starts to struggle, kicking around aimlessly, throwing his head left and right, sending drool flinging from his muzzle. Kato doesn't relent, and I know this is my cue to do something. It's been a while since I've killed a jackal. My paws have been itching to do it again. Maybe you'll be my next. I don't know what to do exactly. I have no weapon, but I wonder if maybe I can at least distract the wolf long enough for Neferu to get away, to breathe again. So I run out of my hiding spot, rustling the branches and leaves as I do. Kato is so focused on what he's doing to Neferu that he doesn't seem to even hear me. As I run at him, I can see the wolf grinning maniacally into Neferu's face, like this really is something he's been wanting to do for a very long time. He finally seems to hear me at the last second, turning his head in my direction before I lower my shoulders to try and tackle him off of Neferu. It's like hitting a brick wall covered in fur. I make contact with the old man's side, and for a moment I get a whiff of musk and perfume before I'm sent right back down on my ass. I wonder for a moment if I've dislocated my shoulder, looking up in a daze at what result my attack might have had, if any. To my relief, I see Neferu on his paws and knees, gagging and coughing, drool stringing from his muzzle. Kato is standing slightly to the side, looking in my direction, over my head, but he clearly knows where I am. He only focuses on me for a moment, though. Then he turns his head in the direction of the coughing jackal, Neferu crawling away at this point. Kato makes his way back towards him before drawing back a foot. I can only reach out, not even having enough time to ask Kato to stop before the wolf kicks the jackal between the legs. He does it so hard that I see Neferu's knees skip off the ground for a moment before he pitches face first into the marble, on his knees and clutching at himself as he lets out a howl of agony. I cringe, immediately thinking of the time I kicked Amicus, and how much harder Kato must have kicked Neferu. I start to move towards them again, in case Kato thinks of doing anything else, but the old wolf simply stands there, breathing heavily, head tilted down as he listens to Neferu moan. For the kicks you gave me earlier. That should put your whoring out of commission for a few days, no? Neferu was curled up on his knees at this point, paws tucked into himself. It's at this point that I see a gush of red liquid overflow from his muzzle, and for one horrific moment I wonder if somehow Kato had kicked him so hard that he'd ruptured his organs or something. But no, it's the wine, and it spills across the marble. Kato wrinkles his nose at the retching sound before carefully stepping around the jackal. As I said, I won't withdraw my offer for you to stay, but there are many apartments open in the city. Just know that you will not be able to take your new citizen with you. Otherwise, I'd like to try this discussion again in the future, if you're willing to be more cooperative. With that, the old wolf stalks out of the bedroom. At the same time, 2 white drones float in, hovering over Neferu. One lowers itself to the ground to begin cleaning up the mess, while the other holds out what looks like a couple of capsules on a plate, which it balances on a metal appendage. Neferu, you seem to have vomited. Would you like an anti-nausea medication? I stumble over to the jackal to kneel at his side and try to help in any way that I can. He simply keeps his eyes screwed shut, holding up a paw before returning it to his sore spot. Awkwardly, I rub at his shoulder, trying to ignore the smell as the drone does its work of cleaning up the puke. A few minutes later, I manage to help the jackal to the bed, his breath ragged the entire way. It's strange seeing him like this. Usually so confident and in control. I never expected anyone to do anything like this to him, but I guess if someone was going to do it, it was Kato. Are you sure you're okay? I ask for what's probably the 3rd time as I sit next to him, and Neferu manages a smile despite the clear pain he's in. No. But I'll have to go to the physician to be sure. All the way in the city since Kato saw fit to imprison the palace doctor. Do you need, like, ice or something? I don't know, he hit you so fucking hard. I'll manage. I just miscalculated. I'll know how to handle him in the future. I frown, not really feeling like that's the case. As I'm trying to help him, though, Calm's voice comes over the intercom again. Virginia requests access to your room, Neferu. Neferu suddenly straightens up, moving his paws from his crotch to his thighs. Granted. She nods at the 2 of us before wrinkling her nose. Smells like rancid wine in here. Indeed. What did you need, Virginia? To my surprise, Virginia turns to me. Instead of the hostile expressions she'd been wearing the last time we'd encountered each other, it's much kinder, much to my relief. Marco? I had a discussion with Cassius about seeing Amicus. He seems accepting of the idea, under one condition. There's a pause. What? Well, he wishes to speak with you in private. Private? Neferu immediately speaks up next to me. That is not wise, Marco. We should negotiate with him to allow me to be there. Virginia laughs. You really think Cassius would allow a Chemian in our private conversation? Virginia pauses, eyeing the jackal. Neferu currently still hunched up despite his attempts to keep straight. What happened to you? Nothing of note. I raise an eyebrow, which Virginia sees. Marco, what happened? Well... I pause, watching as Neferu raises his own eyebrow, but makes no attempt to stop me. Well, Neferu pissed off Kato, and Kato hurt him. What? I was attempting to pry information from the old man about the staged trial. I was unsuccessful. Why did you even think you could be successful? Kato knows exactly what we're up to, no doubt. This is so unlike you. It jeopardizes everything, Neferu. Virginia seems completely bewildered, and now that I think about it, I have to agree. What was Neferu thinking? But then Virginia narrows her eyes as she sees the jackal grinning, now openly covering his crotch. What? Well, I may have not achieved exactly what I wanted, but I attained something just as valuable. Neferu glances at the corner of the room where his drone is. You recorded it all? Yes. And an attack on the Pharaoh's son will not look very nice on the Chemian news channels, will it? Neferu? A dark tone enters the wolf's voice. That risks war. The jackal rolls his eyes, adjusting himself rather lewdly. I would never actually send it, but Kato does not know that. It's simply convenient blackmail material if things don't go as planned. Virginia squeezes the bridge of her snout, closing her eyes. You don't know Kato very well, do you? And neither do I. Sometimes I believe he wants another war. Did he hit you? Virginia's eyes drift lower. Yes. Anyway, he's no longer the Emperor. It's Cassius I'd use it against. You know Cassius is his advisor. But still not the Emperor. I would hope your brother has large enough stones. Again, the jackal adjusts himself. To do his job and not listen to a warmongering advisor. One would hope. Virginia continues to look unconvinced. I shift around impatiently next to Neferu. So, did he want to see me now? Virginia turns to me, again looking as if she had forgotten that I was there. That seems to be the case. Neferu sighs loudly. At least, try to convince him to allow you to be present, Virginia. I don't want Marco to be left alone with him. There is little to worry about. Cass is not Kato, but I can try. Virginia looks to me. Ready, Marco? I quickly get up, following the wolf to the door. I look back at Neferu, the jackal looking uncharacteristically disheveled as he's still hunched up around his junk. He gives me a meaningful look, probably meant to tell me to be careful, so I give him a quick nod before following the wolf out the door. That's probably a good place to end it on this one. Get into the conversation with Kato on the next one. Next time. Yeah. As always. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time. Bye.